Okay, hey guys, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go into some Tajweed rules and actually go in and explain them more, whereas the last video was just a general overview on the colors that you would see on the screen, so it wasn't too much understanding. It was just more do what you see. Now we're gonna go in and actually see the rules and explain them, and we're gonna start off with the rules of Noon Sakinah and Tanween. They go together. It's Noon Sakinah and Tanween. And first we'll define what those are, and then the four rules. There's four different rules that would be applied, and they change depending on what the circumstance of the letter is. So we're going to start off by explaining them as we said. Now the first thing you need to know is what they mean. So a Noon Sakinah is a noon that is not vowelized. So as you will look on the page, we'll find one right here. Yunfiqun. Okay, that's another one. As you can see, there are the single green ends. You would see the single green noon. So on the Arabic side, it's be Yunfiqun. You can see it right here. Just that little piece is green. It's a little harder to see there, then it's pretty clear there. But now we're going to explain. So that would be a noon that has no vowel. So a common one would be the word in. In English it would be in. Here it would be in or inna. It wouldn't be sakina because it's got a fatha. It's got a vowel in. So in kuntum. That's another one. So they're pretty common. You'll see them repeated mostly in the same similar words, and you'll know what to do. So now when we so that's what the Noon Sakinah is. And whenever you think of Noon Sakinah, think of its brother Tanween. They come together. So all these rules we're going to talk about right now apply to both of these. So you want to keep that together. They come in one package, the rules for this. It's Noon Sakinah and Tanween. So now Tanween, if you don't know, just to be clear, is anytime you have a double diacritical. It's kind of more difficult to tell when you have that on the English. But in the Arabic, it would be two fathat, or two kasrat, or two dhammat. And that would be a Tanween. And that results in an N, un, or in added to the sound. It's like it compounds on, and the tanween can actually only be attached to the end of a word, and it's only on nouns. So you don't need to know that though, but it's only going to be there at the end of a word. And for tanween of fatih, the short vowel a, when it's two of these over one, let's see, there's one here. Let's find another one. Flip the page perhaps. Alright, let's see. Look for a good one. Kind of hard to see. That's Tanween of Dhammeh. And anyway, it's not necessary. But now, that will result in N, un, or in. You should already know that. If you don't, So now, when you have Tanween, that Tanween is actually resulting in a Noon Sakinah if you pay attention. And that's why its rules are lumped together, because when you add an N to anything, that N is a Noon Sakin, so it just gets attached on there. In, basically you're adding in, un, an, and as you could tell, that results in an unvowelized N sound, a Noon there. So it kicks off the same rule. So now they both result in a Noon Sakin, kinda, so they have something in common. So now whenever you see these, depending on what category they fall in, you're gonna know what to apply onto them. And now there's four rules here. They're gonna apply to these. The first rule is idhar. That means clear or obvious. Okay? We'll explain it better later. The next one is going to be idgham. Idgham. Okay? The next one, the third one, that one's going to be really simple. It's going to be iqlab or qalb. Al-qalb, iqlab. And the last one we'll talk about is ikhfa. 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 Okay. So now to start on izhar. Izhar, like we said, means clear or obvious. So really in its application, when you apply it, it'll be as if you're not doing anything. So eventually you're going to think to yourself, it's a funny rule. Why is it a rule if I don't have to do anything? Well, the point is to not do anything. That's what makes it right. Because in the other ones, you're going to be doing something to it. Here, you must pronounce the N sound clearly without giving it anything extra. You can't give it 2 harakat. It's just a simple in, hum. Okay? Now, when this will happen depends on what comes after the Noon Sakinah or Tanween. And there are 6 letters that if they come after this Noon Sakinah or Tanween, they will cause it to have an izhar or be pronounced clearly. That is, and you're going to notice they're actually arranged in an order. If you pay attention, it goes from the bottom of your throat all the way up to the top of your throat. And it's arranged like that on purpose. And they're actually called the throat letters, as you're going to see. Or al-huruf, huruful halqiyah. Okay, the throat letters. So they are. Now watch, you're gonna if you even put your finger, if you pronounce them properly and you put a finger over your Adam's apple, and you're gonna feel the articulation point move up to the top of your throat. You'll feel it. So it is al-hamza. So hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. So hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. Okay, just travels up. If you notice, they actually arrange them in that way on purpose, just so you keep that in mind. A lot of times when you see them in booklets and such, they'll be put in that order. Sometimes they won't tell you why they're in that order, but that's the reason why, in that order. So now when any of these letters come, hamza. Hamza is like your short vowel A sound. It's kind of like the alif carrying a hamza, or it could be carried on other letters which could carry it, like a waw could carry a hamza, as you can see right here. There's actually a waw carrying a hamza, but this is a hamza sakina, so it's not an it's a anu minu. Yeah. So the hamza, if you got the Noon Sakina or Tanween, and you got one of these 6 letters coming up like hamza, or ha, or ain, ha, ghain, or kha, then it's gonna cause an izhar, and you're gonna pronounce the noon how? We said clearly. So now we'll look at this page and we'll find them all. This is an izhar right here. If you notice, the way you'll know it's an izhar if you're reading off the Tajweed Quran is it's going to be in black. It's going to be a Noon Sakinah, and it's in black, you know, so it's obvious. But now, so you would read this sawa'un alayhim, sawa'un alayhim. See, it's just un alayhim, un, sawa'un alayhim. Okay. Now, if you keep looking, we'll see if we could find another one real quick. We're looking for Noon Sakinah or Tanween. Scanning through in the English side real fast. This is that wrinkled page that we were talking about last time. Go to the next page. Skip a couple pages. Okay, well, that's the basic rule, is that one of those 6 letters is coming after your Noon Sakinah or your Tanween, and it will cause the Noon to be pronounced clearly, just one harakat, real simple. That's it. It's basically, you don't do nothing, just really clear. Now the second one, this is called the second rule. As we said, there's 4 rules that cover these 2 things, the Noon Sakinah and Tanween. So now we're up to number 2. Number 1 was Idhar. We just covered it. Clear or obvious pronunciation, just as it is, nothing extra. Next one, Idgham. We said Idgham. Idgham actually means something like merging, or insertion. What you're gonna notice, to not confuse you, you're gonna find a Noon Sakinah or a Tanween. The Tanween, like, okay, we're gonna take this one right here. If you're looking English, it's right there. Al-Rib. Okay. Al-Rib mathalan ma ba'udah. Okay. So that's here. See, if you look in English, you got a noon. A noon right here. I mean the Arabic. This noon obviously has no diacritical marks over or under. Yeah? And even if it had a sukoon mark, that's fine. But this doesn't have anything, which it means the same thing as it doesn't have anything. So it's your Noon Sakin, boom. So what happens when you see Noon Sakin? Now this is a new rule. Forget the other rule with those 6 letters. Now this has its own letters. These letters, you're gonna remember these letters for idgham like this. It's called yarmalun, ya, ra, lam, mim, wow, and noon. We'll say that again. We'll say it in English even, just in case you're following in English, to make it a little easier. Yeah, that's like your Y sound. Okay? And we're talking about if they follow, if they're the next letter after Noon Sakinah or Tanween. And we'll tell you what happens. So it's ya, ra, Y, R. Ya, ra, mim, yar, ma, mim. That's your M. Loon, so that would be lam, L, wow, the W sound, and noon, the N sound. Now, so when one of those letters comes after Noon Sakinah or Tanween, what happens is you double up that letter and you get rid of the noon completely. So you swap the noon that's there for that next letter. And keep in mind, you don't do this when it's inside of one word. Like if it's inside of one word, like there's a couple words like bunyana in Surah Kahf, bunyana. Now if you pay attention, bun, that's your ending. It's all one word though, but it's syllables. Bunyana. So that noon sakin, bun, and then you got the yan after it. But you don't do that, because if you did that to a word itself, you change the word. But you apply this when it's 2 words. This rule only applies when it's 2 words. Okay? So it becomes a, not an, not an. You skip it. See here, even they're putting it in light gray. And the light gray, you're going to notice, they use it for 2 things. They use it for idgham, and they use it for stuff that's not to be pronounced. So here's your idgham, and that noon is not to be pronounced at all. So in English side here, you say it goes straight from the A to the ya, and you're going to do something else. There's going to be now a sub-classification of this rule. Now this rule is going to split off into a couple different things. Some of the letters, most of the letters are going to have ghunnah, and 2 of them are not going to have ghunnah. Meaning you're going to drag out some of them long, 2 count. As in this one, it's green. It's going to be يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة. Okay? So see, 2 count. So that's your yet. Now, the only times you're not going to have ghunnah is when this happens to a ra or a lam.